seen it.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Shannon Roberta Salmon-Haas.
Are you a native Spanish speaker?
Did I do it better that time?
Yeah.
Cool. We're talking about immigration, deportation, and protests. And if you want to comment, you can call us at the show here Saturday. We're live on June 14th, 2025. You can call 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867. Let us know what you think about immigration, deportation, and protests. Because it all is sort of coming together, I wanted to give some perspective on it. And a question I have for you, Shannon, is about immigration law. Deportations are a part of the law. Some immigrants get deported, right?
Deportation, it's technically called removal. It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, how some names just stick sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually, the legal term is removal, and it's a huge part of immigration law, correct?
It's a court order.
Yes,
for removal.
There's a legal process. Sometimes you can do an expedited removal where you get little to no process, but there's always a process. It's a legal procedure. It's a technical term, like a will. It has a definition, a legal definition.
Yeah, and there's a probate process.
Correct, right.
Probate court.
Right. So removal, if you say that to an immigration attorney, it's I don't know how to explain. It's like if I say will or estate planning to you,
They know exactly what it is. But you don't talk about deporting, because that's like the vernacular that people outside the law would use.
Well, I mean, that was my tiny dumb little point I was making, was that it ends up, they changed the name years ago, but people even still say deportation.
Okay. So must a judge order for somebody to be arrested from ICE, or does ICE just go somewhere and they have reasonable suspicion or probable cause? When is Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement officer allowed to put handcuffs on somebody?
Well, that's the question our country is struggling with right now. And there's some people that are saying if ICE just has unlimited authority to unilaterally decide this person belongs here, this person doesn't, then you don't have a legal procedure anymore. You have like a police force that has all this power.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is all these people that are in the news for being removed, was there a court order that said they were being removed, or?
I can't speak for every case, but my understanding is that the majority of the cases are people that came in on permission under the Biden administration, and so the Trump administration has decided that they're going to revoke that legal permission that they had. So these are people that we promised you. We said, okay, come into America. Here's a work permit, and the Trump administration has a new policy. They've been very clear about what they wanted to do, what their plan was. Mm-hmm. He won the election, so now they're enacting it, and I think they probably get a little bit surprised that they're running into so much pushback. The court, do you want to talk about where it's at procedurally?
Well, I think that this is the Svetlana Doe versus Noam case.
Right.
There was people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela that were given humanitarian parole processes.
Right.
Right. And so that's what the Trump administration had decided that they were going to stop allowing for that to revoke that
Right.
permission.
So they got just notified, hey, you're done. You know, if you had a work permit, it's no longer valid. I don't know how else to say it. We changed our minds, so we want you out now. And people have been asked to self-deport. That same app that people were asked to sign up on, that app is now saying, please self-deport. If you don't, we're going to come remove you physically from the country.
And so this might be one of the reasons that people are protesting, because that seems unfair.
I doubt the average and no shade, like I'm not trying to act like I'm so smart or something, but I doubt the average protester is making a legal analysis of, immigration policy. They're just watching these images of, pregnant women being shoved into tiny spaces in vans and kids crying next to them. We're just getting very emotional because these images that are coming out are just shocking and terrible. I think the use of masks is very shocking to people when you've got those images where people are just on the street and then masked men are coming up. They don't identify, hey, I'm with this agency. They just come and take people.
Oh, you're talking about ICE wearing masks.
Yes. So it doesn't feel like a deportation, because a deportation is a legal procedure where you follow the law. It feels more of like a kidnapping.
So
is
people
what the
might
imagery
be
is.
protesting the way
Oh,
that
yes.
ICE is
Right.
making the arrest.
Right. I'm sure. I don't know if that delineation is even helpful, but maybe some people in that crowd of protesters, if you talk to them and had them sitting here, they would say, yeah, we shouldn't have open borders. They probably would have some of your same ideas, right? But yeah, they might be very upset about the way things are being done.
And you know what I was thinking about California? By the way, this is Talk Law Radio, here with Shannon, Roberta, Salmon-Haas, immigration attorney, talking about immigration, deportation, and protests. And what I was thinking about Los Angeles and California in general is that's a sanctuary city, that's a sanctuary state. They've had immigrants moving there.
I'm gonna nod my head at you just for purposes of this conversation, but that could be a whole other. There's a lot there when you say that.
I thought that they advertised, come to New York because we're going to protect you, or to Los Angeles. I'm sorry,
I'm gonna just. I don't want to sidetrack us. Okay. I'm gonna just nod, but I just want to note that there's a lot there.
My point is that I think that there's a lot of immigrants there because of, at least that's my perception. They were invited there.
They felt safe.
They felt safe there, and so the U.S. citizens, the natives that have been there for a while, they know these people.
Okay.
They either work with them or they run into them somewhere.
It's a more fluid kind of community, like where I grew up. I grew up on the valley, right on the border in McAllen, Texas. So it's kind of a different kind of a community because half the people I don't know how to explain it, but it's going to be a different perspective on border relations and immigration than someone living in rural Ohio. Actually, I take that back because immigrants are everywhere, aren't they?
Well, I just think that the people that are protesting, this is what I imagine. They're upset because their neighbor just got taken.
Okay, and somebody in a community
and they know that guy,
right?
That's their neighbor,
right?
Or that's my hot dog vendor,
yeah.
Or
they're just snatching people off the streets, yeah.
Right, and so they're just upset about that,
right?
And they don't know immigration law. They don't know, all these procedures that should or shouldn't be happening, or the different immigration programs. Where
I think I see your point, and I think I can, what's that word? I'm tracking with you a little bit because, yeah, lots of deportations have always happened. Yes, that's true. I think Obama was the one that deported. I should have looked up the numbers, but I think he won the prize for deporting the most people.
I've heard that before.
So this has always happened, and it has always been sad.
But did the immigration customs officers, did they wear like a more official uniform without a mask?
Definitely. There are several aspects to this that feel very different. And for me personally, that's where I'm noticing these differences, and this doesn't feel like a legal procedure. It's also different to invite people in and give legal documents and then pivot so hard. That I have not seen that. I'm kind of used to, I love America, but we're pretty imperfect. We screw up quite a bit, I have seen before where we will kind of abandon the translators. There's a lot of translators in foreign countries that have helped us be safer, and we kind of fail our promises to them. Does that make sense to you?
I've heard that. That's sad to me because
it's always been very sad to me. So I'm kind of used to that, but on a grander scale, this was a pretty big promise that we made to a lot of people. And then we said, okay, we changed our minds. We have a new president now. Get out.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about immigration law, deportations and protests, and that's specifically...
And we're not going to hit each other over the head. Because we're friends.
Even though I'm using the wrong words, Shannon uses other legal words to describe some of these things. But this was the case of Svetlana v. Noam. There was a ruling May 30th. The United States Supreme Court granted a stay to stop a district court order which had told him to stop revoking the legal status for approximately 500,000 people under the CHNV humanitarian parole process. But I want to move on from that because we have a lot of law to get through. The next case was DVD versus Department of Homeland Security. And this was Judge Brian Murphy. There was a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction, but I'm not sure.
What did you think about that when they were sending people to third?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. This is another way that they were making the removal or the deportation is they were flying people to Venezuela, right?
I bet you were shocked because,
Well, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
One of these cases was where Homeland Security deported 6 individuals to South Sudan without proper warnings or a chance to request protection. So they didn't want to go to Sudan. Do you know if that's where they were from?
No, if they're in this case, it's because they were normally, historically, traditionally, you get to choose where you want to go a little bit. And so it's usually your home country, but they kind of ask you also.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So if you have so this is shocking. This is different. I was shocked. What did you think when you saw that?
Well, I don't know immigration law, so I don't know when to be shocked.
But you would know that that's never been done before.
I've never heard of it before, but like I said, everything is kind of new. Immigration is a totally different area of law in which I practice, and there's very specific statutes, rules, regulations, and court cases. That's why I bring Shannon. Everybody clap if you want Shannon to keep coming on Talk Law Radio.
They're all I heard it. I heard them clapping.
We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.